In this video, we'll be talking all about walls. Walls are where we want to start our drawing by creating our exterior walls first, dividing the space with interior walls before we add anything that cuts into the walls, such as doors and windows. So to begin, we're going to click on our wall tool. The first thing we're going to do is in our properties menu, we want to set up what type of wall we need. We are not going to be drawing footings in this class, which is what occurs for the foundation of a house. We're going to start with our exterior walls. You can choose any of the 4 exterior walls. The only real difference is what surface is on the outside. I'm going to click the brick one because that'll make something easier to see later on. As soon as I set that type in my green menu here, I've now got some things that I can change. First is, I am going to define the height. The height is not constrained by something, but they want to be 20 feet tall. That would probably be okay if I was making a 2-story house, but in this case, we're going to be drawing single-story structures. You can use either 8 feet or 10 feet in this location. It is up to you. For the demo, I'm going to use 8 feet and press enter. You will see it'll add itself to 0 inches. Location line. As I'm drawing walls, I'm basically going to draw it like a line tool in any other software, just by picking one endpoint and defining its length in a direction I want it to go. That line that I create at this current point will define the wall center line. This is rarely the dimensions that I know. I often know more the outside measurements, or most often the inside measurements, such as in a room from wall to wall. I can select other options here. Wall center line, again, not super useful. Core center line. Core, this term ignores any finish that's on the outside or inside of the wall. So it is only the center of this core center line would only be the center of the 2x4 structure. Finished face exterior, if I knew the outside measurements. Finished face interior, my most common setting that I use. This is when I know the size from inside surface to inside surface. Also, I can do just the core exterior side or the core interior side. I'm going to pick the most common one we'll use, which is finished face exterior. I'm going to leave chain checkmarked because that joins the lines as I make my shape. I'm going to leave offset at 0. Occasionally, when making parallel walls, we want to trace a wall and have the wall we're creating a certain distance from where we're tracing. That's where offset will come in. Radius can be used if it's needed when we're trying to round objects, which we're not in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start, usually in an area where I can move to the right and down. That will put the outside surface, my brick surface, on the outside of the walls. I'll show you how that will look, how to check it, and how to change it in case you have accidentally to draw a wall inside out. I'm going to click here to start my shape. I'm going to draw over 20 feet, typing that in, and hit enter. You'll notice that anything that's not horizontal gets an angle defined for it, even when I go straight vertical. At this point, I'm going to put in 15 feet 6 inches. You'll know there's no space or any punctuation between the two. As I come across, I'm going to come across 12 feet. Hit enter. I'm going to go up 10 feet 6 inches. I'm going to go across, and you can see that the software will start to help me. It tells me that I have about 8 feet left if I want to end at that same point. So I'm going to put in that 8 feet. Then I'm going to come straight up, and I'm going to click the end point that will allow me to close this at 5 feet at 90 degrees. At this current point, I have made the walls, and I'll go back to modify. Right now, you can't tell which side of the wall is the exterior and which side is the interior. So under floor plan, you'll notice I've clicked off of any walls. Under just floor plan, it's going to say detail level coarse. I'm going to drop this down and change it to either medium or fine. Either way, I should start to see, and this hatch pattern is my brick surface. If you accidentally have that to the inside, you can click the wall and use these to change which way it goes. You'll notice also as I click on walls, it is referencing the center line. So from center line to center line. Again, this is not often the way we're going to define sizes. So to change that, here's where you need to go. You go to Manage, and then you go to Additional Settings, and down here to Temporary Dimensions. Click on that here. It wants to do the walls at center lines. So I'm going to change that to faces and click OK. You'll now notice when I select a wall, it's now measuring from the inside faces to each other. That way I know my little bump out here is 12 feet. I can, if I need to, go, no, this was supposed to be 14 feet and change this to be 14 feet to move that wall. I'm sorry, I made the wrong symbol and made it 14 inches. Let's try that one more time with 14 feet. And now my gap is there. That's how I can move things around. It's also very handy for making interior walls. If I want to make interior walls under Architecture, I'm going to go to Wall, select an interior wall type. So I'm going to go past Generic into the interior walls. Interior 4.5-inch partition. In this area, we use 2x4s to create those partition walls that divide rooms. So this is the type of wall that I will use most often. As I join the wall, I can click, come out, and divide off a section by clicking between the two walls. Go to Modify, choose my wall, and since it's measuring from the surfaces, whether I know how the distance from here to this surface or from here to this surface, I can set those by clicking on these. And I can make this 2 feet 6 inches, or about the depth of a closet. I can also start to join interior walls by going back to Wall. It remembers the last type and the height and everything else, and I can further divide what I need to divide. Now sometimes you'll make divisions by, and I'm going to hit Escape because that is wanting to go by this wall center line. I'm going to change this to Finished Face Interior. I am going to draw a wall, hit Escape. I still have my wall tool, but now I can draw another wall. What you'll notice is the walls are automatically blending into each other. However, sometimes you might create two walls that either A, don't blend quite right when you draw them initially, or B, you draw them partially and then you need to connect them later. In order to do that, you can use this tool right here, Trim and Extend to Corner. So when I click this, I can click this wall, which stays highlighted, and this wall, which now goes to extend to meet the corner. Some people would like to use this to also then extend this wall to perhaps come all the way across. However, it does extend and trim. So if I do that, it will also, if this wall extended further up and I wasn't having it meet at a corner, it would have gotten rid of part of my wall. Okay? So for example, if I wanted to go the other way and extend this wall to meet this wall, I am going to lose part of my wall. And then I'd be trying to extend this wall to meet this wall, and again, be starting to cause problems. So be careful when you draw this, knowing that your best bet is to always create walls longer than you need and trim them back later. We have gone over how to create exterior walls, how to create interior walls, how to join them, how to resize them, how to make sure they're the proper distance from each other, as well as how to trim them when they don't join. Future videos will show you how to start adding doors and windows.